Hi, Dad. Welcome back to another episode of Dave and Andy's Honest About Life. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's good to be back. What did we just met, what, 10 minutes ago, something like that? No,
It's great. It's great to be back. It is
it
always
is great.
to spend time with you and capture these interactions, Dad.
Fun.
So today's session, let's talk about, you know, why you believe people are afraid of things like snakes, sharks, heights. And then the question will be for you, what are you afraid of? So why do you think, well, maybe you want to start with what are you afraid of first?
Okay. That's a really good one. I don't like spiders. It's not that I'm afraid of them. They're just teeny little things, but like the brown recluse that kind of eats flesh, the venom that they put in you, and they've spread more northward now. So in Minnesota, we're finding more and more of these brown recluse. Isn't that what it's called, the brown recluse?
Recluse, yeah.
Recluse.
Yeah.
And anyhow, that's probably one of the tops of my list. I also, something that you encountered when you were younger was a bat. I don't like bats. Most of them are rabid. So if you get bit by one, you got all kinds of problems. And I just remember you stepping on one because it was a brown carpet you were going upstairs and you stepped on one that was just embedded in that. It was a shag carpet because that's what we did back in the day. And it kind of hid that bat very well. And you stepped right on it. And I just remember putting it in a jar and we thought, oh, we didn't know if it had bit you or not. And I'm a worrywart.
I think that, having done a show with the Department of Natural Resources once down in the, I don't know, a couple thousand feet below the surface of the earth with the DNR and talking about, this is the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources talking about bats. I think it was like in Tower, Minnesota. I can't remember the name. You remember that?
Oh yeah, Tower. Well, that's way up in northeastern Minnesota.
It is. And I think they would say that most bats do not have rabies. In fact, they probably see something like less than 1%.
Really? Because
I remember.
Yeah, I had heard something differently when I was growing up, and that just scared me. Just the idea of rabies scares me because of the things you have to go through. But anyhow.
Well, so that leads to the bigger question of why do you think people are afraid of things? Is it because of things they've seen and heard or things that they've experienced? What do you think is the reason for those kinds of fears?
Yeah, I think we were talking about animals in this case, or insects or whatever, that we're afraid of. But there are a lot of other things that we're afraid of, like ideologies and things like that we're afraid of. But I think a lot of the bugs and animals that we're afraid of, it's because we, for one thing, don't know what they're all about, some of them, and so we've got that fear of not knowing what could happen, and it's just bodily harm, whereas I fear other things too, that could cause bodily harm, but I rode motorcycle for a long time, and that speaks bodily harm if you don't do it right and if you have an accident. But I never feared that. So it's weird. I think there are certain people that we're afraid of, probably that we have grown to know what they have done to others, maybe, and we're afraid of that. So it's kind of, I think it really comes back to, how is this going to hurt me? And that's what I'm afraid of. You got me?
I do. I think that's a good point. The bodily harm piece. One thing that I think is interesting, at least, we used to have conversations a little bit about this, and maybe it's more, things that I've heard. But in particular, and I think you have this condition. I think your brother does. Maybe even one of your sisters does. But it's the fear of heights, but not because of the height. It's because of what you might do at that height. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's very interesting. My brother and I know we have it because we've talked about this. We went over a very historic bridge. It was made out of wood, and it was a rail bridge, and we were walking across it, and there was like big ravine down below, and it was just hundreds of feet down. And there are these times when you get this urge, like, I'm going to jump, and that affected my brother and affected me. I think it's just a weird feeling. Like, okay, I can't hold myself back. I'm going to jump. Why? That's just we're all made very differently and we're all weird, but that's a weird thing that my brother and I have
It
encountered.
is, and I have, believe it or not, I have felt that too, and so I looked it up, and it has a name, and forgive me, I don't know what it's called, but it is a condition, and if I remember right, it has something to do with wanting to maintain control, and that is a way to have control over the situation. I know it
Wow.
sounds awfully weird, but because to your point about bodily harm, if you're going to toss yourself off a 20-story building because you're up there, that's going to lead to some bodily harm.
Yes, it will. So, but yeah, that's very interesting. In control, I can understand that. I'm under control of myself, where I'm not going to jump, but I could jump. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
So, but you're controlling your brain, and that feeling of control, stopping yourself from doing something that would kill you. Yeah, it's
Yeah. It's
yes,
a weird, it's such a weird feeling that we can't even begin to describe.
yeah,
This,
it
this
is.
sense of, you want to toss yourself off, and which is odd, because we love roller coasters. I know that I do. I know my daughter does. I think you do. You did.
Yes, yes, I still do. The roller coasters are fun, and that's a thrill. You
Yep.
know, you feel pretty safe. Obviously, you're safe, but yet there are times when it's definitely gets your adrenaline going.
It does. It does. Well, thank you, Dad. That was a fun topic, and
Yeah.
I look forward to the next one.
All right, thanks, buddy. It was good.
All right. Bye, Dad.
See ya.